What should I be doing next in my life? That's a question every one of us will ask. Sometimes once. For me, it has been 4 times already in just 35 years of life. I'm Alexi, and I'm going to be your guide on this journey. Why? Because to me, this question has been just always in there since I was 13. And so recently I said, you know what? I gotta qualify these things that I've learned to help my future self should I ever come to that wall again and wonder what should I be doing next. And so, right now I'm going to introduce you to these 3 pages right here. Because I'm using what I got, an iPhone 6 and some printed paper, I realized, hey, it's going to be very difficult for you to see what's on here, even if I write it out here on the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot pictures right up so you'll be able to see these things up close and personal and actually take your own notes. If you see fit that you would need any of these right here, these 3 copies, I'll figure out how you can download it. I'll figure out how to set that all up. And I titled this Path to Happiness, ... a goal. Okay, let's jump on this. Why did I title this Path to Happiness? You know, when we come across this question of what should I do next in my life, it can be one of the most debilitating, most challenging, yet most rewarding and most life-giving things. I know that's a lot of confusion there and a lot of black and white, a lot of, as they fancy word, a lot of juxtaposition. It's like black and white coming together and you're like, huh? Yes, this question is almost a gift that life gives us, and our perspective on it will be our make or break experience. My first time I had to come across this question and to answer it was in 9th grade. I said, okay, in 9th grade I joined a swim team, and after getting really great there, I'm like, I want to go for the Olympics. Even if I don't get anywhere, that's going to be my goal. And it was a burning desire. Then at the same time I had a landscaping company and it was very, very successful. And I wanted to become a landscape architect. Right in 9th grade I said I'm going to be putting away money to be able to go to the landscape architect school that was just down the road from us about 15 minutes, and it was one of the best in the country. And I was like, wow, what luck. And then I got into an explosion accident, lost a few fingertips, took 2 years of recovery, and after I recovered I had no desire to go back to swimming. Well, I tried swimming, I tried landscaping again, but I'm like, ugh, yeah, yuck, I don't want to do that anymore. And so this question, every time I had to figure out when I started asking it to when I answered it, would take about 2 years. And this time around, I was like, okay, I moved to Hawaii in 2019, and I'm like, okay, I'm not leaving this island until I figure out what the heck I'm going to do with my life. And so most recently, I was like, okay, I started putting this stuff on a piece of paper, just writing it down. And then my gut was like, okay, make a PDF out of this. So just do that. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I did that. And as the gut, the God, the gut, whatever you want to call it, was just like not letting me sleep. And like I shared in my introduction video, and I was like, gosh, do I really have to share this with the world? And every evening I've been going to bed for the last couple months, that thought was just like, you got to share this with the world. You got to share with this world. Got to share this content with the world. And so I titled this whole series, The Path to Happiness, a Goal. Now let's jump into this. Why did I title that? If you've ever heard about Jordan Peterson, he said this really interesting thing. He is a psychologist and a neuroscientist, if I remember correctly. A psychologist, yes, and a neuroscientist. That's exactly what he is because it says it right here. Very awesome guy. I love learning from him a lot. And he said the following. We all, he didn't say this, but we're all seeking to some degree happiness. And I've seen a bunch of videos questioning, going out there and talking with people, and they're asking, what is it that you want out of life? Well, let me ask you, what do you want out of life? And most of us will be like, I want happiness. I want to be happy. I want to just be happy in life with what I'm doing, with where I'm at, and be able to move forward. And you know what? Here's what Jordan Peterson said. The most positive emotions, the kinds that make you happy, are tied to forward momentum. Towards what? Towards a goal. So, no goal, no positive emotion. So this is where we begin with happiness. And we're going to work our way back to, okay, what do you need to know? What do you need to focus on right now for your life if you want to answer this question? And the trick to this whole process, this whole journey, is as follows. The answer will always be, it depends. And I know that can be very frustrating, very just frustrating to hear that. Like, what do you mean depends? It depends. Because as we look back at this PDF here, you'll see that there ends with happiness. Before you get happiness, there's action. Before that, there's goals, decisions, a want, belief, self-image, paradigm, and then all the way back to birth. So if you're in ninth grade, you have a whole different set of reasoning than you do at the end of high school, in college, in a job, after retired, or you got hurt with your health plummeted, you just got into an accident. Depending on where you are in life and your age will determine what you need to focus on first. Heck, I'm 35. We could be both, you and I, we could be, let's say we were twins. We grew up in the same place, same home, went to the same schools, did everything the same. But yet, based off of how well versed we are in dealing with our emotions and our feelings, we will be two completely different people, even if we pretty much did everything the same. Just that one skill alone will determine a complete different path for you and I. And so, happiness. Happiness is the thing that we're all going after. We want to be happy in this 80, 90, 100 years of life that we get. To achieve happiness, we have to be acting. Action has to be part of our life. Real life. This is the real thing, the real deal. This is what we see. Okay? And it's interesting how I have these two arrows going back and forth. Let me read this. We strangely stay loyal and dedicated to living out known or unknown inner characters. Some call them habits. Old familiar ways. We act out of filling voids in us rather than from abundance. All of which are following us around with a dedication of a shadow from past experiences. Let's go back to the first one. Our action, real life, this is what we're always doing. This is the thing we do. So first, we strangely stay loyal and dedicated to living out our known or unknown inner characters. What the heck does that mean, characters? Well, depending on what view you have on life, you might call them habits, you might call them characters. And the reason you call them characters is because they are like different people living in you. So there's one modality of thinking, or one way of looking at this is, here's you, your central person. Right now you see me and you think that I'm just one individual. But hey, when was the last time you had a debate in your mind? You said, I want this, and all of a sudden you come at a fork in the road that forked more and more. We'll just say a fork in the road. Should I do this or not? And then you start having this debate in your mind. Well, here's why I should, why I should not. Why I should eat that chocolate cake or why I should not. Should I go exercise or not? Should I go drive or not? Do I go meet with this person or not? And then you start having this debate inside. Who are you debating with? You are debating with you. So now all of a sudden, externally I might be a person, but I just split into two people. I'm debating my own self. And this happens, this division happens with so many different subjects and topics. And God forbid you have this split and you never come to a conclusion. Now you have a part of you, a character, that has never been resolved. If you had some kind of accident happen to you, or somebody had said something to you, if person A said something to you, next time you even hear their name, your body just reacts like poof, like there's this internal tension and just not a nice feeling. These are characters in your mind. Those are Some would like to call them habits. Habits, I would say, a little similar but a little different. You know, we strangely stay loyal and dedicated to living out known or unknown inner characters. Most of us, as the saying goes, what is the most powerful thing you can be doing in life? That's know thyself. We strangely stay loyal and dedicated to living out known or unknown inner characters. When we do not know ourselves, guess what? We are going to be stapled to. We are going to be anchored like a ship. We're going to be like piles to a building that are buried deep in the ground to keep that strong foundation from the building moving. All our characters that we are not aware of that are in us, those will be holding us back. Those are the old familiar ways. Now, they might be conscious or they might be subconscious, and that's another thing that we're going to be talking about, the paradigm section. One word that I'd like to share with you guys, 99.9% of this is not me imagining this. This is coming from centuries of wisdom put into this. So I'm not taking any kind of brownie points for, oh wow, you're such a genius, or to tell you, I created this. No. What I am doing, what I have done with this is just put together the puzzle pieces to make sense for myself in my mind. We strangely stay loyal and dedicated to living out known or unknown inner characters because we do not know ourselves. Old familiar ways. We act out, filling voids in us rather than from abundance. Okay, so why am I talking about this so much, man? Because in action, in real life, most of us are tied to this thing. Look, the reason I have this boxed out is because this box actually connects to what's called paradigms. Yet our actions, our real life, is determined by these things. Okay, and so happiness will always be elusive to us if we don't understand these kinds of things. Old familiar ways. We act out of filling voids in us rather than from abundance. What the heck is that supposed to mean? Well, have you ever had somebody come up to you or come into your life and do something nice for you, but it just kind of felt off? You ever feel like that? Yourself. Have you ever found yourself walking down the street? There's who is it? I think not Chris Rock, not Dave Chappelle. Maybe it was Chappelle. He was saying how he was walking down the street and he gave a homeless person $5. Not because he was a good person, but because he wanted to talk about it later on. He had a whole skit about it. It was hilarious. It's hilarious because it's so true in us. Okay, so let me go back to this. We act out of filling voids in us rather than from abundance. So there's two ways to be doing things in life. There is out of the fullness of who I am, or out of a void. So for example, if I go to a homeless person, words can lie, actions can lie, but energy never does. So this is more on a frequency level of why do we do what we do. I can come up to the homeless person, in this case, give them $5, and I do it out of a void because I want to make myself feel good for doing something good. And so when the energy that I put into that interaction, there is a transaction there. So this individual who is on the streets, what they give to you is a feeling. So you pay for that feeling. You're not giving it to just empower another human being. You're giving to get. Okay? That's what this means right here. We act out of filling voids in us rather than from abundance. And one of the interesting things, we'll go about this more in depth going forward in one of these videos, is that we become addicted to these voids in us. And so everything we do is to fill this desire, this need that we have. Birth, where I have here B8 emotions, there are certain things we are hardwired for that these emotions need to be filled in us. And instead of getting them filled from the world of abundance, which planet Earth is, we go about just trying to get what we can as spiritual beggars at the cost of other people. Some call them energy vampires. We've all been around those people. Hey, we've been that person at some point in our life where we were around certain people to get energy from them. We acted in ways to get energy from them, to get attention from them, instead of being abundant and giving because you're full, not because you're better. So, we act out of filling voids in us rather than from abundance, all of which are following us around with the dedication of a shadow from past experiences. Now, our past is not our past. Our present is the result of our past. And so this is why this is so important. All of which are following us around with the dedication of a shadow from past experiences. Have you ever, let's do a thought experiment here. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to walk on a sunny day, not at noon, but when the sun is like this, you look back and you see no shadow. Like right now, look at this. You can see my shadow, right? Boom. See that? You can see my shadow. But what if all of a sudden there's like no shadow and you're like, how would that make you feel? These things right here are walking after us like shadows. Again, let me read this whole thing. We strangely stay loyal and dedicated to living out known or unknown in new characters, old familiar ways. We act out of filling void in us rather than from abundance, all of which are following us around with the dedication of a shadow from past experience. Our past, our moment right now is a result of everything from our past. Who you are, how you act, how you feel, how you think, how you react or respond to things. You are just this collection of everything in the past right now. If we do not deal with who we are from the past, the things we become, the things we learned, the habits we built, the responses and reactions that we got comfortable with, which is all up here, our be emotions, our paradigm, self-image, our beliefs, our wants. If we're not clear about that, guess what? Figuring out what the heck it is that to achieve happiness will be very difficult. You might experience excitement, temporary excitement, but happiness will always feel elusive. How does this all tie to the big question of what do I do next? Everything. Because there's going to be a lot of all these things that we're going to be talking about. They are going to be the very things that are going to be the roadblocks keeping you from actually answering the question. For example, to wrap up today's video, is what I would like to share is the path goes like this. We're born, we create paradigms, which is patterns of thinking. We have a self-image of who we are. Then we create beliefs, and then we have desires. And you're like, eventually get to the point where you're like, hey, I want this. Just when you start saying, okay, I want this, and just before making a decision, we're going to be going that in PDF 2, you say, oh, I want this. And then if you don't have your beliefs down of who you are, what you are, guess what's going to happen? The very next question is going to be, why would you even want to do that? Like, why? If you're not clear about who you are, you'll always be questioning yourself, and you will not be able to answer, what the heck I want out of life? What's my next step? And so, this is why, to wrap up today's video, happiness. Happiness is created, as the statement goes from Jordan Peterson. Most positive emotions, the kind that make you happy, are tied to forward momentum. Towards what? Towards a goal. So if there is no goal, there will be no positive emotion. Happiness. If we want to achieve happiness, we have to start working our way back a little bit towards, okay, what are our actions? What does my real life look like? What am I actually doing? And what is my life trying to tell me now? What are all these characters in me telling me who I am and what I am? This is a skill most people have never developed. And that's going to be one of the things we're going to be doing a deep dive on. Thank you very much for joining. May you have been enlightened a little. If you have found this helpful, you found a good idea or two, click subscribe button, let your friends know, let your family know, click that notification bell, and high five that like button like you own it. And in our next video, we're going to go a little more into depth of what the heck in the next video, we're going to be diving deep. In the next video, we're going to be diving deeper into, okay, working our way back towards goals. Thank you very much. And as I like to say, what do I like to say? Be a seeker, stay a seeker, seek out, search, knock, and you will figure it out. Until next time, peace.